Our technology is really designed for longer-term nervous system regulation.
Today, we have Ellyn, who is a seasoned operator, a strategist, and an investor with more than 20 plus years of leading organizations through growth, restructuring, and transformational, amazingly across both public and private sectors.
Our data shows that roughly 90% of people have statistically significant improvements in outcomes, and this is going to be very important in the age of AI.
Welcome to Provider's Edge, where healthcare leaders and innovators learn how to scale smarter, lead stronger, and create lasting impact. Burnout isn't just about working too many hours. When you're running a practice or scaling a business, chronic stress can affect how you think, lead your team, and show up for patients. In this episode, we explored nervous system regulation, emerging wellness technology, and what it could mean for reducing stress and improving focus. If you're responsible for patients, employees, and business growth, this conversation might change how you think about performance, starting with the person behind the business, you.
She has been a 4-time founder. Her track record includes 2 exits and 2 still very much in the motion. She is currently a co-founder of InnerStill, a company developed non-invasive neuroenergetic device for nervous system regulation and brain health. She is also the founder of Seeds to Store International, a 501c3 nonprofit expansion, education, and economic opportunities for women and girls in rural Kenya. She has been living in Hopewell, New Jersey with her husband, Princeton biochemist Daniel Sigmund. Thank you so much, Ellyn, for joining us. We have the fortune of being introduced in the mental health space with other amazing advisors, advocates, and you have applied to our 2026 HealthTech Impact Award and won the Mental Health Award. So we're so excited for you to be here and to celebrate you and to champion the good work that I think all of us have the struggle of both the peds side, right, the pediatric side, as well as our older parents and grandparents who are going through some of these symptoms. So I know your background has been very extensive in building companies, exiting companies, and you even were also in that investor space before. So tell us a bit more about the story. How did you get to this point and building InnerStill?
Yeah, so I was involved with the Neuromodulation company in 2013. Neuromodulation refers to tools and technologies that help the brain to modulate. Neuromodulation or change. And this particular technology was a tongue stimulator that you wear while you're doing gait and physical therapy to resolve gait and balance issues for people who have concussion or MS or stroke. And what I loved about it, having been in the life science space, I live in New Jersey, but what I loved about neuromodulation was this idea that energy could help catalyze the body and brain to heal itself. So not chemicals necessarily, but energy that helps the body and brain create those chemicals necessary for healing. So that's 2013. I invested a little bit. Then when they uplisted to NASDAQ, I invested some more. Just love this idea. Really jumped into the entire neuromodulation space. And then 2020 comes along, and my 15-year-old son at the time, like in the height of puberty, for any of you guys who have teens out there, you know what that's like. But it's also the pandemic, and he becomes very distressed. He is a musician, he was an athlete, he is an athlete, and the world kind of shut down to him, and he became suicidal. He would have these just anger fits, and he would feel so guilty about what he said or how he was acting. He would say things like, I don't know why I act like this, Mom. You're probably better off without me. And we had him in therapy remotely. It's the pandemic. I was trying to get him out on walks in the forest. Being out in nature is really good. We were trying to do gratitude journaling. We had done meditation and some box breathing before to regulate, but he could not access any of those. And I really wanted to avoid medications because I just wasn't sure how long that period would be. And so then I started trying every stimulator that existed out there. And that included a number of technologies that either created sensation on the skin, which just freaked him out, like created that cortisol effect that we were trying to back off of, or they took too long to work, where you needed to use them, twice a day, 2 minutes a day for 30 days before they started to work, and he just couldn't stay with it. And so by January of 2021, he just turned 16. I was talking with a integrative doctor who was also a breast cancer surgeon, and she referred me into the founders of the technology that is now part of InnerStill's portfolio. And so the first time David, my son, went on the device, it was as if his whole body just took a breath. It's just like his whole body just relaxed. And I even joked with him that it looked like he had smoked a little weed. And he started giggling, and I hadn't heard him laugh in so long. And it was like the universe had tapped me on the shoulder. And so that was January 2021. By May, after really kind of diving into the tech and the diligence and the IP, I decided to jump in and help Dr. Hank and Dr. 𝐄𝐥𝐥𝐲𝐧, our inventor, really go from prototype to scalable technology, which is now MindVibe. But they also had other technology that they were working on, which is a non-invasive deep brain stimulator using very unique current to resolve Alzheimer's and dementia, so neurometabolic and glymphatic processes of the brain. And so all of that made me jump in because I wanted to be involved with a company that had do no harm devices, evidence-based, that could really serve humanity.
It's so amazing that many founders had their own scientific research and they just created something, right? And then you start needing to expand, because we always talk about any company on the top of the leader, there should be three major roles, right? Mm-hmm. Your technical founder, who is that visionary, right? Or if the visionary couldn't build the device, at least then that person will find a technical founder to build it. But no matter what, you have that initial visionary in the space of like, what is it? I see a gap. Let me build something amazing, right? And then so those are your two medical officers who are really about their research, bring this thing that they really see amazingly doing for their patients, and they wanted to make it bigger, right? And then it comes to you, because we see beyond your visionary, what you really need next is strategist. People that take your vision and make something out of it, right? Because sometimes we all know doctors and scientists can get into the route of, I just want to build. I just want to be in my box of being with the patient. I don't want to deal with anything else, right? I just want people to come to me. And then that also means what? We needed the third person, the promoter. If we don't have people championing our work and help to promote and get other people to be on board, to be so supportive, then no one will actually know what the product and service is, because everyone is searching, right? During COVID, mental health is definitely have been impacting many, many lives. And so when people are seeking solution, are they going to find yours, or are they going to find your competitors who might not be as good? But if they did better at promoting themselves, they're more known, then more people are going to try them out, right? So we definitely see this three triangulated connection where you start coming into that. It's like, wow, my son is really benefiting from this. I wanted to be a champion for them, right? And then so then you got on board to be that promoter for them. And at the same time, I think you're also stepping into the strategist role for them as well.
I will tell you that Dr. Katznelson, our inventor, is the quietest secret, one of the grandfathers of neuromodulation that no one's ever heard of. He has several publications. He was an anesthesiologist in Russia when they had a shortage of painkillers back in the 1980s. And that's when he started all of his research in neuromodulation. And then he was recruited to the States, where he launched the Nexalin technology, which is a transcranial stimulator. And then Hank, who is a retired psychotherapist, psychoanalyst joined up with Yakov to provide really medication-free solutions to people who are really struggling with mental health issues. And I just benefited by being able to cross paths with them. And I crossed paths with them through Dr. Beth Dupree, who's a cancer surgeon, an integrative doctor, who sent all of her patients to them to help them with their anxiety and their 𝘁𝗵𝗶𝗀. So there was all of this work that was being done. And now we're at this stage where it's time for us really to shout from the rooftops, because we very much have a unique device that is very safe, designed for ongoing use, and it's time for us to scale. So we're excited.
Yeah, and I think we're totally there at the moment of saying this is not unique, this is not first to the market, but this is much better than a lot of your competitors in giving the result and the timeliness of how fast people getting a result. So tell us a bit more about that. I know you personally definitely have searched so many different tools for your son to try it out, and they're just not quite fit. So tell us a little bit about what's the market right now of all these different neuromodulation tools out there, and then what do you believe is you guys' competitive edge?
Yeah, so there's a wellness market, a really flourishing wellness market right now around the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is getting a lot of press, finally, for being responsible for helping to regulate the nervous system. And so there are modulators that include music, so music frequency and sound and light, photobiomodulation and vibration. And all of those have, for those that are out there that have evidence behind them based on the frequencies, we're showing some really wonderful benefits. There is this other group that is bioelectric or low current electrical technologies that stimulate the vagus nerve and parts around the vagus nerve using electricity. And what sets our technology apart is that ours is ultra low current, and it's architected in a way that prevents any sort of overstimulation or saturation. So one of the things that can happen with electrical stimulation is you can get too much. And when you get too much, just by using it often, you can cease to have an effect, or it just doesn't seem to work anymore, or you can actually get a little bit of nervous system burnout where you revert to some of your previous symptoms. Our technology, because of Dr. Katznelson's longevity in the field, recognized that this was something he needed to solve, because there are conditions out there where people need to be able to use it on a regular basis. So for example, we've done some studies with our wellness technology around addiction recovery. We have seen where individuals, after using our technology, have reduced cravings, they have less agitation, and we know that when they are out back at home in their environment where they developed habits, by being able to get on the machine when they are feeling triggered, it helps them to really quell that desire and get them into that state of mind where they can manage and control their behaviors. And so being able to have a tool that is used on an ongoing basis is great. We are not marketing this for addiction recovery yet. We will take a version of this through a 510(k) pathway, which is a medical device pathway. Right now, we have our technology 𝗁𝗏 launched with wellness practitioners with the intention of helping people to just level up, to feel better, to reduce stress, to reduce burnout, and to basically rebalance and recalibrate the nervous system. And we've had over 5,200 people on it. We've had 4 IRB governed studies that all look at things like sleep and focus and wellness. And it's a tremendous machine. The other thing about it is you don't have to mess with parameters.
What really stands out here is how a deeply personal problem can uncover a much bigger healthcare opportunity. Ellyn's search to help her son lead her to a technology that she believed was worth championing and eventually scaling. But having great science isn't enough. You need the visionary, the technology expertise, and the strategists who can turn that innovation into something people can actually access, trust, and use. Now, before we jump into the rest of today's conversation, let's take a quick pause and share something that you might want to take the advantage of. As a clinician, an industry expert, or established founder, shaping the future of longevity, women's health, mental health, and healthcare innovation in general as a whole requires a lot of vigorous tenacity and grit. We would love to hear your stories if you have a proven expertise, meaningful result, and a company that has generated at least $1 million in revenue. Apply to be a featured speaker on the Provider's Edge podcast and share your insight with other leaders and other innovators so they can learn from you. Go to theprovidersedge.com to apply.
So most stimulators out there will tell you to, set it within certain frequencies if you can handle it, if it's comfortable, and that will help get you a desired outcome. Our technology, Dr. Katznelson designed it within optimized frequencies in current in the way that the vagus nerve engages the rest, digest, and recover function of the body. And so in that, because of the design, it auto-regulates for each user, meaning it takes into account each user's own impedances, moisture content, fat, muscle in the skin. So it delivers a very consistent frequency and current experience within those parameters. And that is why we're able to get such great results. So the parameters are set, we know are optimized for about 80, Dr. Katznelson says between 75 and 85% of the population. Our data shows that roughly 90% of people have statistically significant improvements in outcomes. So it is optimized for the majority of people out there. And the other wonderful thing about it is because it's so mild, there's no sensation to the skin. And so many of these stimulators out there, you feel it. And particularly if you're anxious, that can create a cortisol effect. And that's, again, the exact opposite of what it is we're trying to accomplish. Now, that being said, there are devices that are very effective for those people who need it in the moment and want to jolt and really want to reset. Those can be effective, but our technology is really designed for longer term nervous system regulation.
Yeah, I definitely hear some of just a quick summary of what we're hearing is it doesn't give you that prickle effect because if you're anxious, something else is bothering you. Just like when you're trying to do a deep breathing exercise, back when I was doing my psych rotation, I was doing this exercise with my patients, but they're so antsy, you can't calm them down, no matter how much you're trying to different modality. So not having to add these extra things that could potentially cause them to have the opposite effect, right? And also the voltage, as you're saying, yes, electricity conduction, our heart is electricity, our whole body, right? We're very much water heavy system. So we're a whole conduction system. So if you have too much, people become uncomfortable as well. Mm-hmm. And there's so many different ways that, as you so eloquently put, that when we are experimenting at this time now, just like we talk about AI in healthcare, people are popping out one AI tools after another. And how do we governance? And are we just going to try everything? Or we have people like yourself who personally took the time, bought all those devices for your son, tried it out, and found one of the best. And you became the champion for them, really pushing the company forward. And now we're able to get into the hand of the wellness practitioners to start getting it more into the hands of patients. So I also know you guys have different subset, right? Definitely the anxieties, the younger population is one of them. And then you guys start opening market and testing for even the Alzheimer's patients and some other subdomains start seeing favorable results. So we always love to know is as the early stage, how can people find it, right? Is there a roster list of all the practitioners across the country that people can go? Or is it something that individual practitioner who's interested in hearing this show be like, I want to test on my patient? How would they find you to be able to get those into the hands?
We have a roster of our MindVibe practitioners on our website. If somebody's interested, they could certainly reach out. There's an info page there. We are always interested in working with practitioners. And what's really both a blessing and a curse is that because the technology treats the kind of root cause of neurohormonal dysregulation, there are so many symptoms that the technology seems to resolve. So, for example, we got some grants from New Jersey for maternal health. And we found that for things like postpartum depression or the baby blues or even menopause, it's very powerful for. And so we have a practitioner in Kansas City who focuses on women's health, who has our technology and uses it among her client base. We have personal trainers who feel like they can get more out of 5 sessions of Mind Vibe with their client than they can get in 6 weeks of training. Because when you get somebody out of their stress state, they're much more open to hearing suggestions and following through and being compliant. We have a psychotherapist who works with kids in Boca Raton. He's found amazing results with ADHD and autism. This is who had helped Dr. 𝘁𝐿𝐵𝐴 help kick off a study around this. And so, again, we're putting it in the hands of clinicians who can use it how they best see fit. And eventually we'll be able to do this more widespread in a more widespread manner so that we'll be able to get insurance coverage like our Philly doc does. He gets insurance for his mental health support. But we're also seeing buying signals from schools overseas in particular who are looking to bring in medication-free interventions to help their students focus and get more balance with regard to the nervous system. Other thing are employers. I was just at the Texas Brain Health Summit. Huge focus around employers who are paying for the problem, disengagement and burnout and what they call presenteeism, where people are at work but they're not there, and ways to bring in tools and systems to help them regulate, come out of stress, be more present. And what we find when we go into companies is people can sit and vibe and work. They can be on our machine, we call it vibing, and work. You don't have to engage with it for it to engage with you. But some of the things that we hear is that people tend to be much more patient with their teammates. They are more creative. They feel like they're able to get into flow more quickly. So we see a future where we can bring in, or companies can have these at their offices for their employees so that their employees can chill out a bit, give their brain a rest. And this is going to be very important in the age of AI, right? We were just talking about AI earlier and how AI is going to take care of all of these lower level administrative tasks and even some of the more complex tasks, which means that we as employees and leaders need to think at a much more high cognition capacity to be able to manage our agents. And that means we need to be able to think at a very, very much different level. I can't even speak straight, but yeah. So I'm really excited to see how we can incorporate this into the employer markets.
Correct. I definitely see employee and benefit is a huge because from the healthcare side, many hospitals have these massage chairs, right, into different spots of the hospital where anybody can use, or we usually see in our physician lounges. And it's something that we can say, hey, now we can have mind vibes in these locations and put on for a really quick session and put you into a better spot, especially when it's healthcare system, when your nurses are working 12-hour days, right? Some of us that are even clinicians, right? When we're rounding, when we're hospital side, you're in the ER running long shifts, right? Trauma and whatnot. So you're able to really help a lot of different sectors, from practitioner directly to consumer, from health organizations who really value now that COVID have passed. Well, we'll be okay with that, but we start seeing other stress out, right? The stress of having AI. I was having a conversation with one of my friends as well. They're saying in the consultancy world, because the AI is doing so much analytics, they start worrying about losing their job. Oh, next week, you're the one who's getting an email. So you have to outperform everybody else. That's so much weight and anxiety and stress. So your point of being now all of us, when we're optimized in the better state of who we are, the cognitive behavior side, and then we're training our body to comprehend those sides, then we are able to create more without the stress of feeling we have to. We simply can just do it, right? And that's the amazing thing of what this is able to show us is we're going beyond just a solution at this point. This is really what's going to evolutionize of how we as human beings leverage the tools like AI, leverage the tools of devices like MindVibe to make ourselves feel better, do better, and ultimately become an even bigger contributor in society.
What I want you to take away from this episode is that managing stress isn't just about feeling calmer. When our nervous system is better regulated, we can be more present, think more clearly, and show up differently for our patients, teams, and businesses. As AI takes over more routine work, our human capacity to think, create, and lead becomes even more important. The question is, how are we supporting ourselves to operate at that level? For all the visionary out there who has an idea, a startup, or innovation that could change how we see health, dental, and wellness, bring it to hot or not. You get to have 2 minutes to pitch your company in front of investors, clinicians, operators, founders, and industry experts. Then the audience weighs in. Is it hot, a solution that the market wants? Or it's not, a concept that needs more validation? Also known as Pitch to Yes, this is your opportunity to pressure test your message, get real-time feedback, and potentially connect with other partners, customers, and investors to support your growth. Submit your pitch at pitchtoyes.com and join us for the virtual event. Even you just wanted to show up to listen in, also register, because great ideas deserves honest feedback.
So that's why I'm super excited about what you guys are up to. I know you are also in the sense of fundraising, right? The founder, you guys are always fundraising.
That's right.
So anybody who's hearing about it, I definitely had a personal experience with many clients as well, that people like yourself got so excited about the product, they invest in it or they play a role in a company. So we love for anybody who's super excited about this space, contact.
Yes.
Make sure you drop messages on LinkedIn, you go to the website, you make an effort to get involved, right? Or even contact me. I will put you guys in touch because we're all in it together. Because any phase of healthcare, yes, we all have specialties, but we all know, just like Ellyn, your example, the cancer doctor referred it to his patient to get better anxiety reduction because it's such a stressful thing for the patient and the whole family. And we know other specialties will see different type of patients that would need this. So we can always create that supported ecosystem and cross-refer and getting the right resource into the right people.
Yeah, and it's such an interesting space right now in the investor arena because investors, in healthcare are used to investing in biologics or pharmaceuticals or software, right? AI. This idea of devices, they scare a lot of people. Oh, supply chain, putting things together. But the reality is, my company, like others, the hard part is figured out. And so one of the things we're really excited about is stacking our technology with some of these applications and these diagnostics. Because when we've done that so far, we see kind of an elevation of outcomes when it's another modality, or with the diagnostics, we move the needle. And that's super exciting for practitioners and clinicians to see that there is actually a very quick change in effect in terms of autonomic nervous system balance. So we're super excited for people who are bold enough to think about a future of energetic medicine. I think for a long time, we have been relying on kind of isolated pharmaceuticals to support symptoms. One of the things we're seeing now is how energy, we are made of energy, as you had said earlier, how by modulating energy, we can really catalyze the body to do its own chemical reorganization to support, not for everything, but for many things. And we're seeing that now. So we're excited.
Yay! I can't wait. So guys, go to MindVibe to get connected, to check them out, to explore whether you're a practitioner that really can adapt this into your practice. or you are a patient that wanted to see how this might be able to get into your hands, or you as a caregiver wanted to try out for your children or your elderly parents, your
Or
grandparents,
yourself.
or yourself.
Caregivers are under so much stress. And one of the things we're excited about is as we get this out to patients, we can allow our caregivers as well to find that same level of calm. And our corporate website, just so you know, is InnerStill Health.com. So InnerStill Health.com. And that will talk about all of our different modalities, as well as where you can find MindVibe. And then MindVibe is specific to our vagus nerve and acupressure point technology.
Amazing. I always doing my acupuncture treatments on a weekly or bi-monthly basis. So we all know it's healing is not just one modality, it's multi to how do we see ourselves from biomarkers, from devices, from acupoint, from even trying different solutions that you see in the market, because some of them, yes, is still under research, and we have clinical trials just like MindVibe is doing for different subspecialty, but it's that we actually have these solutions. These things are very possible. So I definitely super excited for you guys on all the things that you have going on, getting into the hands of schools, employers, and practitioners, and then more to come. And you guys, as you're listening to this, tell us wherever, whether it's on Apple, leave a review on Apple. Tell us what is something that you have tried, perhaps in this space, or if this is something that you were thinking about, haven't really quite sure what it is, or you have already tried some type of vagus nerve simulator. What was your experience? So we would love to hear you guys' story. Leave the comment below or leave a review, and let's continue to have the conversation.
Today's conversation with Ellyn 𝗿𝗏, co-founder of InnerStill Health, brings innovation back to a question we don't ask enough. How do we help the people leading, building, and delivering healthcare functions at their best? Ellyn showed us how nervous system regulation can influence focus, stress, creativity, and the way we show up for our team and patients. And as technology takes on more routine work, protecting our human capacity to think clearly, connect, and lead becomes even more important. Here are the 5 key learning points that we discovered today. Number 1, personal pain can reveal a health problem worth solving. Ellyn's journey into this work became personal when her teenage son struggled during the pandemic. After trying multiple approaches, her experience with the technology pushes her back to investigate the science, IP, and opportunity, and ultimately help move it from prototype toward scaling, while partnering up with some of the most iconic and well-respected scientists. Number 2, a strong healthcare innovation needs more than a strong innovator. Ellyn and I discussed the importance of pairing the visionary and technical expertise behind an innovation with strategic leadership that can turn the science into a scalable company and get it into people's hands. Number 3, nervous system regulation might have applications beyond stress relief. The conversation explores potentially using across wellness practices, women's health, mental health, schools, workplace, and other settings where stress, focus, and regulation affect daily functioning. Number 4, the ability to regulate stress could become increasingly important at work. Ellyn connects nervous system regulation with patience, creativity, flow, burnout, and presentism. As AI handles more routine tasks, she argues that employees and leaders might need greater cognitive capacity for the work that remains. Healthcare innovation works best as part of that ecosystem, not in isolation. This episode closes around integration different resources, practitioners, technology, and specialists, rather than expecting one solution to do everything. And I also emphasize cross-referral and getting the right resources to the right people. If today's conversation about nervous system regulation, mental wellness, and protecting your capacity to lead resonate with you, you will also enjoy hearing my conversation with Monica McCaderick, a physician associate that spoke about why founders fail when they ignore this, where we explore founder burnout and how to build and lead without sacrificing yourself in the process. Link is in the show note below. Thank you for listening. Remember, the positive change we're seeking starts right here with me and you. If you are a fan of the show, or if you are just having struggles or success that you're either experienced in the past or are experiencing now in the healthcare industry, these matter to all of us. I want to hear from you. Visit sabrinarunbeck.com/connect and send me a direct message. Talk soon!